Distance. You've dealt with distance before. What is it? Distance is the measurement of one-dimensional space between 2 points. So one-dimensional meaning that I'm going straight from A to B. I'm not talking about like this space. I'm just talking about directly from A to B. And it's also not the line segment connecting A to B. It's the length of that line segment. So you can think of this as length in many cases. You can also, there are other words that will also mean this, but distance is the length of this segment from A to B. So what is the distance between A and B? Here we have a number line, and I've seen students say, oh, it's 2, because there's 2 marks between A and B. Well, that's not true. It's also not 3, which people will sometimes give me that answer because there are 3 spaces between A and B. But the key thing to notice here is that 4 to 6 is not a distance of 1. 4 to 6 is a distance of 2. And you can see that here, where I go from 4 to 6 is a distance of 2. And then 6 to 8 is a distance of another 2. And then 8 to 10 is a distance of another 2. So that's a total of 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6 is the total distance. So the distance between 4 and 10 is 6. What about here between 3 and 21? Well, we have, this is 3, that's another 3, that's another 3, that's another 3. Each of these is worth 3. And then there are 6 of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3 times 6 gives us 18. So the distance between these is 18. So the distance between A, which is at 21, and B, 3, is 18. Notice that here B is on the left of A and A is on the left of B. Here does not make a difference for distance. Distance is always positive. What about here? Well, here we see that each of these is a size of 6. So there are how many tick marks, how many spaces? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces. And each of those is 6, so that gives us a length of 42. But you probably have noticed between negative 12 and 30, or between 3 and 21, or between 4 and 10, that there's an easier way of looking at it. If we take this number on the right minus the number on the left, 10 minus 4 is 6. And then 21 minus 3 gives us 18. And 30 minus negative 12, notice that it's negative 12 and it's minus. 30 minus negative 12 is the same thing as 30 plus 12, which is 42. So we're getting this distance also by subtracting them. And that makes sense because the space between these is subtraction. If I ask, okay, how far is 6 from 0? That's really saying, what's 6 minus 0? Note that I'm always doing the one on the right minus the one on the left. This is so that we get a positive number. If I do left minus right, if I did, let's imagine that I did 3 minus 21, that gives us negative 18. Well, that's not really what we want. We don't want to say that this distance is negative. We would say that the distance is positive 18. So how do we take negative 18 and make it positive 18? Absolute value. So in general, the way we describe this is with absolute value, and that's the one-dimensional distance formula. The distance between 2 points is the absolute value of any point minus the other point. So if I wanted to say what's the distance between negative 17 and 3, I would say, okay, what is negative 17 minus 3 and then the absolute value? So the distance here is, sorry for this mess, negative 17 minus 3 is negative 20, and then I would take the absolute value of negative 20 is positive 20. So that would be the distance between negative 17 and 3.